My name is Friedhelm Hoffmann, and before I came to Lucan, I lived for 30 years in Germany, then lived in Bayfield and worked in Exeter, until I saw the light where the world is revolving around, and that's Lucan. Having a green tie, right? Together with my husband Ricardo, we live right around the corner here at Beach Street since 17 years. And it needed us no more than 16 years to finally decide to become a member of this church. Probably we should have done that a long time, because it's a wonderful church with just so welcoming and good people in it. Sometimes life offers opportunities to change, and we are glad for opportunities. My function today is that I'm currently the District Deputy Grand Master for the District of South Huron. South Huron, in the Masonic case, includes local lodges, and a lodge is a local Masonic temple in Goderich, Carlow, Seaforth, Mitchell, 3 in Stratford, St. Mary's, Granton, Exeter, and Elsa Craig. We are representing about 800 members in this district, and for the big picture, in case you don't know, there are currently 40,000 Masons in Ontario, 2 million in North America, and about 6 million over the world. There is a Grand Master of the Grand Lodge in Ontario, and Grand Lodge does have its base in Hamilton. It has a similar structure as any larger organization would have, and actually in some ways similar like the Anglican Church. I would like to say thanks to Father Matt Martin for the offer to participate in today's service, and more so that you entrusted to me so easy to do the sermon part, which made me a bit nervous, and all week I was wondering how I get through an hour-long sermon. Without being chased out of town afterwards. And some of you asking yourself, perhaps, what are the Masons doing here? Thanks also to the congregation that put a light lunch on for us. Thank you very much. And I will come to more about the Masons through this sermon. Building life in uncertain times. Building life strong in uncertain times. There's a commercial around you all probably know, and that is for the lottery game 649. The cloud of freedom, it says, with a blue sky in the background that symbolizes the unreachable, the impossible, and what we can do or could do in case we would win this kind of funds. It shows happy people that won millions of dollars and how wonderful their lives apparently are. The lotto dream that will change our lives, and we finally can build our lives individually, and we have no one to care for how. A dream that would set us free, just like that. It doesn't mention that the chance to win is more than slim, and that a lot of winners' life is hell because they do not know how to deal with what they won. And every time I watch this commercial, I'm looking frustrated at my ticket that doesn't win. This is one way that suggests to us how to build our life that we are living in. Buying lottery tickets and wait for the luck that is uncertain. And there are lots of other suggestions and offers how we could live our lives, from comfort and convenience to what exactly our desires are. And yes, we even can pay for prayers. The world offers everything. All promise something. Changes for the good are offered if we buy into it. And yes, we keep paying for it as well. At least for some of it, or in one way or the other. And if it aren't corporations that want to sell their goods, it are politicians that promise us a better world. Perhaps all good things. But I don't know how you feel about it. To me, it can be very confusing at times to choose. And sometimes it is difficult to navigate through this vast amount of stuff that we have or should have or decide on to. It is actually impossible to make anyone a right decision, anymore a right decision. We need a proficiency to live. It apparently needs a professional to go through life. And are we these professionals? It seems we need to be specialized in our own lives in order to have even a chance to find the course. How often did I get into something that I regretted afterwards because I made a choice to take one of these life's offers, and now I have to pay for it, and on the end of it, it was more trouble than any good. Every time we decide for something in life to do, either buy, invest, or go in relationships with each other, in business or personal, it is so important that we build trust first and know how to approach any offer in our lives, or we get trapped in some spam, as we say. Our lives are so fine-tuned now that as more we become fine-tuned, we need to be an expert in everything we go for and have to have the tools to understand it. The many ankles in life can make us worry and weak, or at least intimidate us. At least I am at times. It does it because on all those offers in life, someone does have an agenda behind it, an interest that we perhaps not share, or do not know about it, or can trust. Sometimes we find out later what impact it had when we signed up for supposedly free and pay later. It seems it gets more and more tricky. And business is good for us as long as the value is honest and applicable to our lives. Sometimes these interests do not really match our lives and our needs, and sometimes it does. We are all different and have all different needs and wishes. We all have our problems and challenges, but also our good experiences and happiness. Important is that we need to recognize both of them. That was almost 3,000 years ago, not much different when King Solomon was king of Israel. Perhaps the life issues were on a different level, but similar in many ways. King Solomon built the famous temple that we heard a part of it in the first reading today. He built a big building to the glory of God, like the building it is here, just a little smaller in this church. He built many aspects that should remind the people of God of the greatness when they became free from slavery in Egypt. And our reading talks about the part when he built and decorated the inside of the temple. There are so many symbols and meaning we could talk about it, but there's one that stands out for me. The inner chamber, the heart of this temple, which was difficult to get to it, and not everyone just could go there. In this inner chamber there were stored the 10 commandments that Moses once received. The commandments, the covenant. The commandments not of guilt, but of love that guides our lives. This is the most important. In our church here, we have similar, copied out of that temple. The built altar here, sitting in the east, where the sun rises, except in Lucan, where it's in the west. The altar is the inner chamber of this church. This is where love comes from. For us today, it is where the communion with God, or the gifts of God that are shared with us, with the added loving forgiveness through Jesus Christ. It comes from this altar. It is nothing else than the communion with the love of God, which make us charitable, loving individuals that want to balance our lives in peace. Peace is what we're looking for. And this love is stored right there. And that is what this church keeps actually alive. Not much different than at King Solomon's time. In order to go through this wonderful life, we need to decide in what altar our hearts is bedded in. Are we storing goods, gold, and currency? Are we storing worries and anxieties in there? Or do we want to have God's love in our hearts and minds? It is our decision alone what we store in our heart. We have literally the freedom how we want to deal with our heart and soul. That's why it is so important to listen to God's word. Our masonry in the lodges do nothing else than to reflect on building and strengthening our challenged life. And it does with the tools held in this aprons, a little bit fancy for it, but it is to master that building. It says it is a beautiful system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Every corner and stone needs to be built on the cornerstone to sit right in order to keep the building together. To sit right in order to keep the building together, and it is to ensure that the inner chamber, our heart, is nourished and well surrounded with built up of hope for the love of God. Masons in many centuries built cathedrals and temples to God's glory. These masons came together and had lodges to lodge and meet in when they came from other towns and places to help building the building of God, and they had a room where they were accepted and listened to. Last year, just 300 years ago, Masonry was formed as the organization in England as we know it today. And an official beginning is not really known. Masonry is not a religion, and it is not a cult for sure. It is not a secret club, and there are no conspiracies created or hidden politics practiced or whatever is floating out there on stories. There are no dogmas, and there is no theology of any kind. There's maybe a handshake, I always get asked for that. Well, there is perhaps one, but that is more to recognize in what level of education we are to each other. On what part we are building our lives between Masons, nothing more. It has principles, and one of them is faith, hope, and charity. Masons are reminded all the time to live the faith in the community. And once a year we go out into the community to celebrate our faith. Doesn't matter what denomination or even religion. It is not an advertising event, not at all. It is meant to remind us that faith is an integral part of our lives. Masonry is for some seen as a charity. Yes, it is, and practices to learn, love, to give, and help the community. Ontario alone does have a Masonic foundation that has millions of dollars as a capital where interest can be used for charity. In South Huron, we helped this year the Jessica House in Exeter. Every dollar donated will be partly matched with the Masonic Foundation of Ontario. And so have the other 43 districts in Ontario with all their own community charities to help wherever help is needed. Masonry makes good men better, it says in your bulletin somewhere. That is one of the slogans. It doesn't mean that a Mason is better than anyone else, not at all. But Masonry helps to grow us strong in God's love so we can tackle life and help others in the community. Listen and decide what is good for us and what is not so good for us. We all need to sort out what is good and what not for us at some point in life. We do not get around that. If we say we make good people better, then this means that we want to be strong enough to help others. That's what that means, nothing else. To find the love and peace that another person needs or don't know, even if it is just demonstrating that love in action. We are not doing it for ourselves. Masonry's intentions is to help others. We all need what we can get on love and hope in this life. We all do have a choice. We can either keep listening to our world only, or we can make sure we know how to listen to our environment and know how to respond and know how to make something out of what is offered to us in life. But I believe in doing so best possible, it is important that we are involving God and our love and our hope, but also our faith. Only then we can be charity to each other. God loves us without conditions. No agreement attached, no insurance needed, no security, no saving account, no credit score, no certificate, or whatever is needed. The architect of the universe we call God in Masonry is this constructed pure love. If we recognize this unconditional love and try to do the same to others, and only if we are able to pass on this love, then we will know how to live without being harmed in uncertain times. Because our worries are none and just love. The 649 freedom does have no value for our love and heart seeking for peace. But God and our faith does. Amen.